So you want to know about competition. So, all right, here's the thing. There are two forms of competition. Two. Uh, there is the form of competition that is healthy, where an individual or more individuals are competing against each other to see who is better. Say, for instance, as an example, a pull-up competition, right? Pull-ups, exercises. Three people trying to do pull-ups. There's a trophy at the end for whoever does the most amount of clean pull-ups, right? Form has to be good. Pull-ups has to be good. You have to do a lot in repetition, given a particular window of 5 minutes, right? Each and every that's healthy competition if they are all healthy within themselves and confident with it within themselves, because they all understand that it's not about the trophy. It's not even about trying to show up or one up the other person. It's ultimately more about group of people coming together, displaying their skills, and each and every one of them are trying to understand how much improvement they've made internally as well as externally to the external world, meaning that they've been working out, they've been getting their stuff together, they've been eating right, they have been working out, they have been exercising, right? They want to know inside or internally, they want to get an idea of how much they've grown from the point of before they worked out to where they are now. They want to basically be able to get an idea. What modern day version of competition is the unhealthy version, where that form of competition is actually based upon envy and jealousy. And the reason why is because instead of people understanding that they are powerful in their own right, and the whole objective is to seek self excellence and to understand that you are supposed to grow at your own pace. And as you are growing, there is no end to growth. What do most people do? Usually the envy becomes so powerful and the jealousy becomes so powerful to the point where you have a lot of people who end up being very passive aggressive and lash out with that passive aggressive mentality. It will translate into an action, lash out, or seek to sabotage another person's growth that they are envious of. Excuse me, healthy form of competition. What makes healthy from unhealthy forms of competition is the level of understanding that it's not about the other person. It's not about the other person. People who understand healthy forms of competition have already an understanding that it starts internally. For instance, it's like saying you'll never be flyer than me. Who's the GOAT when it comes to mixed martial arts? Is it Anderson Silva? Is it Chris Cyborg? Is it Amanda Nunes? Is it John Jones? The answer to that is it's subjective. It's internal. Whoever you think is the greatest is the greatest. But now in the modern day era, what you're observing is people who are trying to make a perspective. You're trying to get they're trying to get everyone to agree. They're trying to everyone that they come into contact with or enough contact with, they're trying to get them to agree that they are better. But this is the mentality of it. This is the delusionality of it. This is what makes them delusional by definition. In which case in point, you should probably stay away from them. It's the idea that how are you going to prove something that is ultimately based upon what based upon what a person else thinks. They think they're the flyest in the world. In their mind, they're the flyest in the world, right? So how are you going to do your best to try to disprove this person as not being the flyest in the world, or the best in the world? You can't. Only a person who has lost their mind is going to try to objectively, meaning on the outside, prove something that is internal, meaning subjective, to not be true or to be true. And the thing is that this is what really makes it out there. It's the idea of how far people are willing to participate and go to show and to prove that they're so much better than other people. A lot of times, and therefore that creates the unhealthy form of competition. And from that unhealthy form of competition, you have you have you have splurging on you have splurging of your cash, splurging of your money, going out and spending on things you don't need nor can you even afford, because it's all about competition. Whenever it is nowadays, when someone does something disrespectful to you, they run around and do people dirty, they do enough people dirty, people start asking them, why did you do that? What do they say? Oh, be quiet and get your money up. But what they don't seem to understand is decency and internal value actually has a relationship, and one causes the other. Because people who have internal value, they have the potential to make a lot of money. That's the reason why it is that even in astrology, the ninth house and the 10th house are connected, because the ninth house represents, uh, you know, your organized belief systems, and the 10th house represents the government or the money making aspect or the process of that. This is the reason why it is that there is no such thing as the separation between church and state. Whatever it is that your internal belief system is, or your internal philosophy is, you can literally make money from it. But if you have not developed that character, that internal value, you can make money, but making the amount of money to the tune of millions or billions, or being a very successful, powerful, and well-connected individual is not going to be, it's almost not going to come. It's almost not going to happen. The richest people on earth are individuals who have lost their way most of the times. They get themselves into a situation where they go into the system, the financial system, when they first started learning about money with the best of intentions, which means that they have internal value. And then somewhere along the lines, they give up on their internal value and they exchange it for external value and wealth. Nicolas Cage, who was a Capricorn, rules over the 10th house, lacked lacked character, lost the internal value of spirituality. And as a result, Nicolas Cage started spending on things very frivolously. You can take a look at all the other stars. You can take a look at, not all of them, but a lot of them. What do they do with money when they get it in their hand? They start impulse buying and start um, not only do they start impulse buying, but they start endorsing their own self-destruction. Because when you have that amount of money, it's exactly like what Biggie said: more money, more problems. Just because you have a lot of money does not mean that you can't be undisciplined, Or you're supposed to not have discipline. You're supposed to have more discipline than the person who is poor or middle class. Why? Because you have so much money and power and connections. If you do not have self-control, you will destroy yourself because you can afford to do it. You can afford to spend money on those substances. You can afford to buy things that you don't really need because you lose a sense of self on the way there, or when you get it, or when you get more of it. So whenever it is that you see these individuals who start talking to you about, when it's a matter of decency, internal value, and they start talking to you about get your money up, these people are very competitive. They treat the people around them like toys. They disrespect the people around them with their little passive aggressive behavior. And the reason why is because they're so empty internally because they lack internal value. They don't seem to understand that they are forever in a form of competition and trying to have a superhero complex, trying to pull people up because they're so much better, greater, because of the fact that they're trying to create a group based upon, or trying to style or shun or disrespect or rub it in the face of the very same group of individuals that they're trying to gravitate towards them. That's the reason why it is that, me personally, I don't have a chip on my shoulder in that way. There is only one person in the universe that I am competing against, and it's myself. I don't care what another person has got. I don't care. That's why it is that, me personally, when you see me even get on these little like disagreements with people and stuff like this, and me and this person don't necessarily get along, and I'm talking to them about internal value and having some form of character, and there's a need there's a need for their assessment of their own self, and they only start talking to me about money and all this other type of stuff, I don't take them seriously because they lack internal value. You're with this competition and your envy, you're so busy trying to prove that you're so much better than everybody else. Somebody is talking to you about decency and self-respect, and you're talking to them about a car that you have, the house that you have, the money in your the cash in your bank account, not even realizing that you were born into this world without a bank account, without a house. You don't own a house. You don't own, you personally, who was born, you don't have a bank account. You don't have a car. You don't have these fancy clothes. You develop that stuff over time. In the book it says you need nothing because you were born perfect. And the reason why it says that in that book, where it says you need nothing because you were born perfect, most people don't even know what it means. What it means is there is no need for competition because the only thing that you need to worry about is being competitive with yourself. That is the only form of competition that matters. As long as you are being real here and in here, your heart, and in your mind, in your entire being, your body, in your entire being, your entire existence. That's why there's a such thing as 10 life values. 10. The first 5 are internal. The latter 5, or the secondary 5, are external. And the last of the 10 life values, meaning number 10, is wealth. That's the last on the list, is money. The first on the list is spirituality. The second on the list is health. You cannot, however, it's cyclical or in a circle because number 10 and number 1 are related to each other, kind of like how Capricorn rules over the 10th house. Kind of like how Aries rules over the first house. Aries representing me, I, personality. Who am I? Understanding who am I? What's going on with me internally? What I need to have internally. Aries. Kind of like how it is that there's 12 zodiac signs. There's 12 zodiac signs, six or the first six zodiac signs from Aries through Virgo is internally self-development, and the other six is externally about other people and about what you have and what you got going on. But they don't seem to realize that the last six, and I don't mean to disrespect anybody, it's just real, and I could show you what I'm talking about. If anybody would like for me to get deeper into this, I could show and prove. What people don't seem to understand is the last six, or the latter six from Libra to through Pisces, is actually secondary compared to the first six. Why? Because internal value is more important. Internal value is more important. So whenever it is that you see so many of these people who are caught up in competition, and they seem to have this huge chip on their shoulder, and they're trying to compete against another person by talking so much stuff about what the person has and what the person doesn't have, and trying to go out and buy a bigger jet or a faster car just because another person has a faster car because you so busy trying to keep up with the Joneses. To people who have learned, to people who has made the people who have learned to spiritually and on a soul level make the transition and evolve past this physical plane, and they understand things on a deeper perspective, and they have become the Fool. The Fool is the most powerful tarot in the tarot deck, because the Fool represents, let me show you. The Fool is the most powerful card in the entire tarot deck. Out of 78 total, the Fool, the unassuming individual that most people would look over and disrespect and treat like a hump, and just whatever, you're nothing, whatever. The Fool, out of everybody, even more than the Emperor, more than the Empress, more than the Moon, more than the world, all of them, it turns out that the Fool is the most powerful. You know why? Because it's the person who understands that who and what they are is greater and better than all this foolish, wrong word, and all of this disgusting, dysfunctional envy and competition and dysfunction. You don't need another person to compete against and go buy a bigger house just because this person has a huge house. It's not about that. It's about your own self. It's about internally what you need. It's exactly like what they told you from the movie The Last Dragon. In The Last Dragon, anyone who watched The Last Dragon with Timac, what does it say? The Last Dragon is, there is one place you have not gone that you need to look, and that is internally, here and in here. Your entire existence, who you are, not just here and here, but your entire body, who you are. It's who you are. It's in you. It's on you. It's in your head. It's in your heart. It's in your guts. It's in your spine. It's in your bones. It's in your muscles. It's in your skin. It's in every aspect of your being, every fiber of your being. So why are you competing if you are a success story in your own right? Who are you competing against? What's the prize? What do you win? And do you feel good about yourself now that you've competed in an invisible competition where potentially the other person, especially if the other person has learned that lesson, and they are above that, you look like a plumb fool to them unless they're deep down in the dumps with you, because all you've shown and proved is that you are nothing but lowly and a low life, no matter how much money you make, because nobility is much more than finances. Nobility has something to do with your character. Nobility is about the idea that you don't have to become cruel and lower yourself to another person's lower level to be able to get done the things that you want to get done. You're still able to maintain your internal decency and at the same time still get done the things that you want to get done and still win. So I don't know where all the sense of competition is coming from, but yet you still have people running around trying to get the fastest car, the biggest house. Why can't you buy a house and build it up and create renovations, and then over a amount of time it becomes a castle or a mansion? You think that mansion was a mansion the whole time, or did that mansion have to get built? So why can't you do the same thing? Because you're so busy trying to prove that you're better than everybody. Okay, congratulations. You've proved that you're better than everybody else. You've proved that you have more money than the other person. Okay, good. What prize did you win? Besides going out and spending the most amount of money that you could, and sometimes potentially you may not even be able to afford long term, only just to bring it back, only just to try to get some sort of a refund because you made up a story in your head and in your heart and in your being that said that because you're not this, that, and the third, or you don't have the biggest plane or the biggest house or the biggest car, or you're not whatever, 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 that somehow, you're somehow insignificant. You people continue on with this competitive stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and grow at my own pace. Peace.